Welcome to Sales Made Easy. It's your friend in business, sales, and marketing, Devon Gall here. Today we're talking about the closing loop, all right? So what is the closing loop? It's where we get them to sign the line that is dotted and all that, right? If you watch that movie, you know what I'm talking about. Comment if you know what I'm talking about. All right, before we get started, two quick things. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps the algorithm, helps other people learn how to improve their wealth and improve their station. All right. And then secondly, I know you hate hearing this, but you got to do it. You got to have a notebook. It's just a PSA. Write it down. You already looked up sales training. Take your future seriously. Take your career seriously. Take your outcomes seriously. Take your business seriously. All right. No one's going to do it but you. So take notes. You can watch 100 videos, but if you don't take notes, it's not going to do you much good. All right, take notes. It helps it stick. Then you learn. All right. So today, the closing loop. What does that mean? It means they're going to have an objection. You just did the most 5-star presentation. It couldn't have been more perfect, and they didn't sign up. They have an objection. All right. Great. We know that was going to happen. That's how sales works. All right. If this is not your very first sale you've ever done, then you know this is normal. All right. So you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan going in. Right. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity and all that kind of stuff. So, well, how do we start? Well, I'm going to teach you a couple different ways to go about this. So the first thing is older than dirt. It's the ancient ways. Right. This was invented, I think, before the written word. All right. It's called ICUFFF, all right? I completely understand how you feel. A lot of the people I signed up already felt the exact same way. What they found out was, and then this is where we insert our rebuttal or whatever, overcoming the objection we have for this specific situation, right? Just a quick example, just to make it so you can see how this actually works out there real time. The customer says, "Oh, I need to talk to my wife first. I completely understand how you feel. A lot of my customers have felt the exact same way. They wanted to make sure their wife's involved in any decision before it's being made. What they found out was I set it up in a way where you and your wife can both be there so you can make that decision together." All right. And then here's the problem. Here's the only issue with this system is you got to close at the end of it. So when a lot of people teach feel, felt, found, they don't teach the most crucial part at the end after you overcome this objection perfectly and you empathize with them and relate to them and do all this perfect stuff with the ICUFFF. You got to close them. You got to ask for the business. So we can come out tomorrow afternoon or we can come out Saturday morning. When are you and your wife both going to be home? Right? That's how that has to end. That's how feel, felt, found has to end. All right. So another way to do this, that's the ancient way, right? It's kind of missing the close piece. The feel, felt, found is just kind of missing the close piece. But the more succinct way to do this is called the ARC method or the SARCs method, however you want to look at it. It's ARC. ARC with 2 S's on the side, right? The S's are the same thing. So first we have stop, then we have A, then we have R, then we have C, then we have stop again. All right, so it's an arc with stops on the outside. So what does ARC stand for? ARC is A, agree. Listen to them and agree with them, even if they're dead wrong, even if they're completely dead wrong and they got everything completely wrong about whatever their objection is, just agree with them. And that's empathizing with them. That's letting your customer know they're being heard. And you know what's going to happen when you do that, when you agree with them? They're going to say, "Oh, okay, this guy gets me. This girl gets me. They understand where I'm coming from." They're going to be much more open to talking to you. They're going to be much more open to listening to what you have to say next because you agreed with them. You listened and you agreed. All right? So that's called empathizing, right? But you got to empathize with your customer and understand where they're coming from, right? R is relate and recap, all right? They're kind of two different things, but relating is part of empathizing. You're relating to them. This is the felt part. The first part was I understand how you feel, right? That's A. You agreed with them. R is the felt. Other customers felt the same way. You're relating to them either through people you've already signed up, or other customers' concerns in the market, or you personally, how you personally felt the same exact way. So you relate to them, and then you recap, because you did an awesome job during the presentation. You gathered so much intel, and you built such great rapport. You have a hot spot. You know something that they care about. This is where you're going to recap some of the value too, all right? So you've empathized with them, you've related to them. I completely understand how you feel. A lot of the people I've signed up, they felt the exact same way. I listen, agree, relate, and now I'm recapping some value here. Whatever hotspot, maybe it's better this or increased this or whatever it is, some kind of thing that matters to them. Not just anything, not just any kind of benefit or feature of your product or service, but something that really matters and resonates to them that you've already discovered throughout the presentation. So that's what the value you're recapping. And then C, right? ARC, close, right? Now we talked about a couple of the different closes. So this is the entire loop. You stop, you answer, you recap, you relate, and you recap, and then you close, and then you stop again. All right, so it's just kind of goes in a circle right here, right? This is when you use incentives. After you close the first 2 times, you always want to, this is a major rule. I got to talk to you. I'm telling you as a friend here, close on full price. Don't give discounts. Don't give incentives right here. Not yet. The first time you close, the first time you do this, just stick at the full price. Even if the discount's automatic and everybody gets the discount, just sell them at the full value of the product. All right? Look them in the eye, sell them high, watch them buy, they used to tell me. All right? I loved hearing that. And it works. You got to stick to your value, because what are you doing when you sell on the full price? Even though it might be more than their competitor, it probably is, because you're representing the best product or service in your industry. It probably is more than what they're paying right now. So that's a good thing. It means we're not cheap. It means we're not junk, right? So it means that this is how much we're worth. Yeah, it is a little bit more, right? Gold is worth more than silver, right? So you got to close on full price, stick to full price. That's loop 1. When you do the loop again, they're going to have another objection. You did it perfectly. It's 5 stars, SARCS. It's 5 stars. It's perfect. They have another objection. Great. This is normal. You should be doing this loop 3 to 7 times before you're actually closing someone. All right. So now you're going to stop again. You're going to listen. You're going to agree with them. Here's a real simple way to agree with somebody. Just repeat their concern. I need to talk to my wife. That's what they say. You need to talk to your wife. I understand. I completely understand, right? I'm worried about this. You're concerned about this. I completely understand you're concerned about this. Just repeat what they said. That's the easiest way to empathize and agree with them, all right? Just repeat it as a question, all right? Then you're relating to my other customers, the other people I've signed up. I don't like calling people customers to another customer's face. I like to call them just people, right? Or families or whatever. The other people I've signed up, they had that same question. So I'm glad you brought that up. So now you're not running away from it. You're not afraid that they asked a common objection, right? And you're recapping the value. This is the hot spot. Just keep this part short. You don't want to sit here and turn into a benefits list off. All right. You just one thing that they really like. All right, they're really kind of, you can tell that's something they're into. So, because you already built a great relationship, great rapport here. This is when we drop the incentive. This is, you kind of sandwich it after the recap and the close, right? Between the R and the C. This is when you drop your very first incentive on your second or third loop around. This is when you start helping push them over the fence with incentives. But not before that. Close them on full price, show them the value, stick to your full price, stick to your guns, show them what you're actually worth. Then this is where we're dropping incentives. And this is the only place you should be dropping incentives, is right before you're closing and asking for the business. Now, when you're closing, you can't just keep hard closing them. You can't just, all right, all I need is your social security number. All right, all I need is your social security number. All right, we can get you started. We just need your social. You can't do that. And if you're doing this in 7 loops in a row, you can't just be like, okay, this is the easy part. I just need your social security number, right? You have to kind of do the other closes. That's why we talked about that in the other video. There's soft closing. Okay, we can do mornings or afternoons for install. And then there's like the greed close. Okay, there's a ton of people out here already doing it, right? The Jones effect. There's over 10,000 people in just this area that have already went with company A or whatever it is. Urgency closing, greed closing, indifference closing. That's kind of more toward 6th loop, 7th loop. An indifference close looks something like, well, hey, I got a lot of people to talk to. It's not the best for everyone. Why don't you walk around and think about it? Have a great day. And then you kind of just go to the next person, right? You like break up with them before they break up with you. You see kind of like the deal's not going. It doesn't feel like it's going. So just cut them off. Just be like, oh yeah, you know, why don't you walk around and think about it? We have a lot of people to talk to today. Have a wonderful day. And then you just start talking to the next person. That's like that reverse psychology thing. That's an indifference close. But you kind of want to save that toward the end of the loops, the 6th or the 7th loop that you're doing. You don't want to just indifference close them right away, I feel. For my personal experience, I've used indifference closing a lot, and it works best toward the end when they're about to break up with you. You just break up with them with the indifference close. All right. So use incentives right before you close, and make sure your incentives got a little pizzazz or sizzle, as they used to tell me. All right, you gotta fluff them up a little bit, get them a little bit excited about it, right? Be it maybe it's a limited time offer, or it's one of the best deals this company has ever offered. You've been doing this for a long time. This is one of the best deals that you've ever seen for them to do. You can't just be like, okay, you get $5 off or whatever, you know, for you do this and you get $5, you get $20 off, or you save $3,000 if you do it today, right? It's got to have some, like, you know, oomph to it. It's got to have some like killer urgency to it, right? So remember that when you're dropping the incentives at the correct time in your closing loop. So just to recap before we go, we got I see you, FFF, I completely understand. Oh, I got that backwards. I see you, FFF, I completely understand how you feel. A lot of people have felt the same way. What they found out was XYZ. But remember, close. You got to close after saying that. And then we have the SARCs loop. Stop, listen and agree, relate. Other people felt the same way. I understand how you feel. I'm the same way. Recap, value, what's important to them, what's the hot spot. Close, full price, close on full price. And then on the next go around, this is where we drop an incentive right before the close, all right? And then stop again. We already covered this in the rules of closing, but you got to stop again and wait. And sometimes there's an awkward pause right after this closing loop, and it's like a 45-second, I've seen it before, like a minute long, where they're just like staring at you. And the rule is whoever talks next loses. So you got to zip it, smile, eye contact. You got that under the surface enthusiasm that they can feel. But you're not talking, you're not dropping benefits, you're not dropping more incentives to try to get them to sign, right? You're just waiting for a response. Either they're gonna say yes or they're gonna say, here's the other objection I have. And just the last thing I want to leave this on is remember, an objection is not a no. An objection does not mean no. It means they're seeing themselves possibly with your product or service in the future, right? But they're also telling you you haven't built enough curiosity or impulse yet. You haven't built enough trust yet, right? So remember, an objection, because if it's truly a no, they're just going to walk away. They're just going to be like, I'm not interested, bye, right? But if they're objecting or they're giving you reasons why, oh, this, that, the other thing, they're thinking, oh, maybe I could have it. Maybe this would be good. Maybe this would be good, but I'm unsure of this still. I'm still, you haven't convinced me, you haven't built the trust yet, you haven't built the certainty yet within me for me to sign the line, right? So, appreciate you coming down. Love y'all. Have a wonderful, blessed, amazing day. Let's go make some money.